I want to let you in on a little secret that I found out recently that not many people know about. It's called renter's insurance. Don't tell anybody, it's a secret. Why is it a secret? Because almost everybody I talk to has never heard of it. Their insurance agent has never offered it to them. They've never even known it exists. Once I tell them about it, they're floored about the cost of it and the type of coverage that it gives them. So renter's insurance is basically very similar to homeowner's insurance or condominium insurance. It protects you, protects other people, protects your personal property. It even covers you if you need another place to live while the apartment is being reworked if it catches on fire, which I'll get into in a few minutes. But the cost of renter's insurance is generally about $10 to $15 a month, and it covers a tremendous amount for a renter. So inside your apartment, or whatever you're renting, anything that's movable property. So movable property is furniture, any appliances that you bought, jewelry, watches, coats, clothes, CDs, records, tapes, gaming systems, anything that's movable property. Renter's insurance covers all that movable property if it's stolen or lost, not just in your apartment or your condo or wherever you're renting, but it also covers you anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world you take that and it gets lost or stolen, it's covered by Allstate. If your apartment catches on fire and you need another place to live while your apartment is being renovated, Allstate will also cover those additional living expenses. They will also cover food. If you have an expensive piece of jewelry, say like a $15,000 ring, we can cover that specific item on top of everything else for you. If you have a record collection, a baseball card collection, whatever you collect, if you have something that is very valuable to you that has a certain high price tag, we can cover that under what's called scheduled property, which is specifically labeled property within your policy. So we can cover that. If your apartment catches on fire and it damages other units in the building, we cover the renovation costs for those other buildings as well. Typically the landlord would not be responsible to pay those renovations, since he's not the one who started the fire. You would be responsible. Also, we cover medical coverage as well. So let's say you have a guy from Verizon that comes out, he's installing Fios in your house, or a Comcast guy, or a repairman, or somebody that's on your rented property, and they get injured. They slip, they fall, they break their arm, they dislocate their knee, something of that nature. Renter's insurance will cover all those medical expenses, even if the guy or the woman sues you. Now, you would be responsible to pay all those medical treatments and rehabilitation costs and his wages while he's out of work. With renter's insurance, though, you would be covered completely, so you wouldn't have to spend anything out of pocket. Now, I'll remind you, this little secret is only $10 to $15 a month for pretty much any renter's plan that Allstate offers. On top of that, if somebody else gets injured, not just somebody who's working, but a friend or yourself gets injured on your property, we'll cover those medical expenses as well if they sue you. Any kind of liability that may arise on your property. So if you don't have renter's insurance today, and you're renting a property, you're leaving yourself pretty much hanging out to dry that you don't have the right kind of coverage. Contact me. I'll give you a quote. It'll be somewhere between $10 and $15 a month. And, I know there's tight budgets. I understand, about, living expenses and the cost of living today. But $10 to $15 a month to give you the type of protection against your future earnings, your current assets, and just in general, all the stuff that you have in your apartment is well worth it.
Always require renter's insurance. Here's why. By Remen Okarura. Sure, renter's insurance is vital to cover a tenant's personal belongings. However, it's imperative that landlords require renter's insurance on any new lease or lease renewal. Why? Renter's insurance doesn't just protect tenants, it's useful for landlords if they need to cover a tenant's losses caused by someone else. So, renter's insurance has numerous benefits for both landlords and tenants. Despite this fact, renter's insurance might sound like an extra expense that tenants think they can do without. In fact, if a landlord doesn't require it, it's unlikely that most renters will take out insurance. They may even believe that the landlord's insurance covers all their personal belongings. But similar to most insurance policies, it's only an unnecessary expense until the worst happens and you need to file a claim. Today, we explained the many reasons why it's a good idea to require that your tenants take out renter's insurance. What does renter's insurance cover? As with any insurance, coverage depends on the policy taken out in terms and conditions. Generally, renter's insurance covers the following: damages to personal property, liability for injuries, losses caused by theft, natural disasters, relocation expenses if the rental unit is uninhabitable. How tenants benefit from renter's insurance. If you require your tenant to take out renter's insurance, their first question might be why you don't already have it. Of course, all legitimate landlords take out a rental dwelling policy. However, your tenant may not realize that your insurance only covers the building's structure and the damage caused. It won't cover damage to the tenant's personal property. Let's look at one scenario. Say there was a fire in the property, and neither you nor your tenant was to blame. Your insurance would cover the damage to things like walls, electrics, and structure, but none of the tenant's personal possessions. However, renter's insurance would cover the damage to everything the tenants own up to the policy's limit. Liability coverage is another reason why renter's insurance is vital. Liability coverage protects tenants against people who claim to have been injured near or on the property. It can also protect the tenant from damage claims to other people's property. For example, a tenant could accidentally leave a faucet on and cause water damage to the property below. The tenant files a claim to pay for the damage they caused. Finally, it is worth reminding tenants that some renters' insurance policies include additional living expenses coverage. This could help cover unexpected costs from staying in a hotel if the property is uninhabitable because of the damage caused. Is renters' insurance worth it for tenants? Renters might not be too impressed that they must pay renters' insurance on top of their monthly rent. So, as a helpful landlord, you can explain the benefits and give them some general advice. After all, you're not shirking from your responsibility by getting tenants to take out insurance. You are showing you are a responsible landlord who has the tenant's interests at heart. The national average for renters' insurance is approximately $132 per year, or $11 a month. This gives a coverage limit of $100,000. Remind them that their policy depends on the value of their contents. It's also a good idea to encourage them to shop around for the best policies. Policy prices also fluctuate based on the area you live in and the tenant's credit score. How do landlords benefit from renters' insurance? The first advantage for ensuring your tenants have renters' insurance is peace of mind. Those renters that cause damage and don't have coverage, they simply abandon the property, leaving you to foot the bill. Often, the security deposit isn't enough to cover the cost of repairs. Plus, you have to consider the time it takes to repair the damage, days, weeks, or months that you could be renting out the property to new tenants. Here are some other benefits of ensuring your tenants have renters' insurance. Additional living expenses. Renters' insurance covers living expenses if the rental unit is uninhabitable. Some states require landlords to cover these if the tenant doesn't have insurance. So, you can save yourself a lot of money if the tenant has an insurance policy. Stolen property. Renters' insurance covers damages or losses for stolen property. Without renters' insurance, a tenant could sue you because you have to ensure the property has adequate security. But they are more likely to claim on their insurance rather than file a lawsuit. Pets. Renters' insurance lets you be a pet-friendly landlord. This fact makes it easier to attract tenants and reduce rental vacancies. Renters' insurance that includes pet liability gives you peace of mind if your tenant has cats, dogs, or other pets. Landlord insurance premiums. Insisting tenants take out renter's insurance can lower your premiums. For example, your premiums will shoot up if you make claims for property damage or injuries caused by tenants. Tenants who have renter's insurance are more likely to accept part of the blame and claim on their insurance policy. A sign of a responsible tenant. Landlords should thoroughly screen all potential tenants to ensure they are good renters. Credit reports and background checks provide a part of the screening information. Tenants willing to take out renter's insurance generally show they are more dependable and committed to their responsibilities. How should landlords request renter's insurance? According to the Insurance Information Institute, landlords have the right to request that tenants purchase renter's insurance. As a landlord, you can request renter's insurance for new lease contracts or when renewing lease contracts. The requirement should be part of the rental agreement. It's also a good idea to mention renter's insurance during the tenant interview, so there are no surprises later on. It is usual for tenants to provide proof of renter's insurance within 14 days of the lease start date. Most property management software and rent collection apps have provisions for renter's insurance. The apps have integrated services that allow renters to buy the appropriate insurance policy quickly. Additionally, landlords who use these apps benefit from faster online rent payments, electronic maintenance requests, rental applications, and digitally signed documents. Landlords should require renter's insurance. Here's why. If you're struggling to understand the importance of renter's insurance, remember Marie. Marie was excited to move into her new Brooklyn apartment with her two best friends. 2 stories with a backyard, a highly coveted living space sure to be an oasis of reprieve from the noisy NYC life bustling just blocks away. As the movers unloaded her furniture, she happily unpacked boxes. She hung her clothes, decorated the walls, and set up all her tech. Finally, a place to settle into and call home. However, less than a month after moving in, Marie came home from work to find burst pipes above her bedroom flooding her room. After a frantic call to her landlord promised to fix the pipes by the end of the week. But Marie just lost all her belongings. How would she replace such an expensive loss? Why should landlords require renter's insurance? Renter's insurance is valuable to landlords because it ensures the tenant's property is protected, minimizes their cost towards property damages as a result of tenant negligence, mitigates coverage disputes, like who pays for what, if the tenant's possessions are damaged or stolen while on the property, and reduces landlord's liability in legal claims if a tenant's guest is injured while visiting. A random leaky pipe during a regular workday can quickly spiral to flood damage, forcing you to spend thousands of unexpected dollars. Here's the good news, if you can call it that. If Marie's landlord required her to get renter's insurance, her stuff would be replaced. We recently surveyed landlords at Rent Ready and found only 33% require their tenants to get renter's insurance. Another 30% require it based on the rental home. Honestly, you might be thinking, I've asked my tenant for a security deposit, rent, and now another bill to add to their list. Here's the thing. Most renter's insurance policies start at $8 per month. Benefits for landlords. Of course, should any damage, theft, or loss occur to the rental property, the landlord has their own insurance that provides coverage. Renter's insurance is another layer of protection, and landlords benefit when their tenants are insured, because it protects a tenant's property if damaged or stolen, provides protection to the tenant in case of a natural disaster, mitigates issues with pets on a property, helps keep insurance premiums low. Even though a renter's insurance lease policy is not always enforced, and rarely does it lead to a case for evicting a tenant, it's still important for landlords to follow through on making sure a tenant has purchased renter's insurance for the landlord's sake as well. For landlords, requiring renter's insurance is legal. This requirement can be incorporated into any new lease or at renewal. Why is renter's insurance necessary if the landlord already has insurance? This is a common misconception amongst renters. As noted above, a landlord's insurance does not cover a renter's personal possessions or liability. So it's important for tenants to protect themselves and their belongings from damage and theft. Let's look at a few different scenarios all covered by renter's insurance. 1. You return home from a holiday dinner at your friend's house to discover a burglary. 2. Your attempt at baking the perfect sourdough goes awry and starts the kitchen on fire. The flames cover everything in smoke, damaging your unit and the neighbors. 3. A visiting friend trips over the cord you have running across the living room. To put it in a simple way, everything the renter owns or could be liable for is covered by renter's insurance, including clothes, furniture, and even the tenant and their visitors. Everything the landlord owns, like the rental, storage sheds, etc., and could be liable for, is covered by their insurance. This includes the rental itself, any dwelling on the premises used for the rental, such as a shed or garage, and faulty building structure. Landlord insurance policies cover the cost of repairs for property damage and structural damage not caused by renter negligence. Benefits of renter's insurance for tenants. Renter's insurance can seem like a guaranteed snooze fest with little value or reward to tenants, until they unlock the door to their newly rented apartment and find the place flooded, or their stuff stolen, or a guest trips over their rug and sues for a broken arm. However, renter's insurance provides much-needed protection for tenants and their belongings, offering coverage if personal property such as pricey jewelry is stolen, lost, or otherwise destroyed, against lawsuits if the tenant hurts someone or damages someone else's property, for reasonable medical costs if someone injures themselves in the tenant's unit. How much does renter's insurance cost? As mentioned above, renter's insurance typically starts at $8 per month. That number may increase based on the size of the property, the number of personal belongings or requested replacement costs, or even the location. Renters pay other costs too. Almost all insurance plans have a deductible, which can range from a couple $100 to $1,000 or more. Tenants will have to pay this deductible before the plan covers any losses. Your policy's limits may determine how much your insurance company will pay too, and can increase the cost. Make sure to choose a plan that will pay out enough to cover your most valuable possessions. What does renter's insurance cover? Let's dive deeper into what renter's insurance covers. Personal property coverage. Insurance covers possessions against theft, loss, and other forms of destruction. Some policies can extend coverage for property damaged or stolen outside the rental unit. So, if you have expensive electronics like a laptop stolen at a coffee shop, your renter's insurance plan will help with replacement costs. Liability coverage. If a guest is injured while in the tenant's unit or they accidentally damage someone else's property, their insurance's liability coverage helps with reasonable medical expenses and protects against lawsuits. Loss of use and additional living expenses. Should the tenant's unit become uninhabitable by a covered event, like a flood or fire, renter's insurance helps cover temporary housing and living expenses. However, the precise policies and price will vary by state, tenant, and even by insurance companies. Research different plans and policies that will best suit each renter's needs. A renter's insurance policy is beneficial to both tenants and landlords. It offers a myriad of financial and legal protection to both parties. When landlords require renter's insurance, property management software like RentReady can be a valuable tool for transparency into whether or not a tenant has purchased renter's insurance and ensure tenants and landlords can easily store and share the documents for reference.